Have you been facing a bunch of Elsa, Loki, and just Sera control or board filled decks? Are you tired of seeing your opponents play out their entire hand on the last turn of the game? Well, fear not, because I have a solution for you. And Zoo Mama is great at shutting down those small, cheap, fill up the board type decks because we are bringing Mr. Sandman back into the meta. Wave no longer shuts down those decks like she used to because they're running Mobius to counter her. They're running Mobius defensively, but it does nothing against Sandman. He will still limit your opponent to only being able to play one card per turn. And oftentimes, if you play him against a board fill type deck, they're just going to retreat and you're going to take some fat wins. So, I'm going to go over a very interesting ongoing ramp deck with Sandman in it, give you a detailed deck guide breakdown with possible replacements, as well as a turn-by-turn guide, and then we'll get into some nice gameplay. So let's get to it. So here is my ongoing shutdown list. It is a ramp type deck, but it focuses on ongoing and powering up all your ongoings to get the job done, as well as Sandman in there, of course. So to start off, we've got Jeff because he's the best 2-cost card in the game, and he works well with Professor X and Electro because Electro limits you to only being able to play one card per turn, same with Sandman. But if you have Jeff, you can actually play him as a second card if you have enough energy. Next up, we've got Mobius. He's an ongoing card, and he's really good. He will also shut down the discounts from Loki or Sera or other types of cards. We've got Electro. He's what we want to ramp up. He's our go-to play on turn 3. He's also an ongoing card that gets powered up by Spectrum. Next up, we've got Jubilee. She's great for kind of a Hail Mary, pull something big out of our deck if we missed a turn 3 Electro. Maybe she can help us speed up our curve a bit. Got Iron Lad to do the same thing, except he's got 6 power himself, and if he becomes an ongoing card, he will also get powered up by Spectrum. Next up, we've got Iron Man. Great pull for Iron Lad. He's ongoing, just big power we can generate from him, so he's great for this list. Professor X is really good. We don't even have Daredevil in this deck. We don't need it. We have so many ways to add power to Professor X's lane after we play him, and getting him down on turn 4 if we want is just so good. Sandman, he's a killer, okay? He will just get a lot of retreats once you slap him down. If your opponent is playing a board fill type deck, you're hoping to do turn 3 Electro, turn 4 Sandman, turn 5 Prophet. Next up, we've got Klaw. Ongoing, powers up 2 lanes, very strong here. Spectrum, I'll be one of the first people to say that I believe Spectrum needs a buff, whether she herself needs more power, or she gives more power to ongoings, or she becomes cheaper, whatever it may be, she needs a buff because she is almost always worse than Onslaught. But in this deck, she is in fact better than Onslaught because doubling most of these ongoings doesn't do anything, but Spectrum can power up multiple of our cards on the last turn. Then we've got America Chavez. She is not only the best 6-cost card in the game, she's what I believe to be the best card in the game of any cost. She's going to help make sure we can draw Electro by turn 3 and have Sandman or Professor X on turn 4 if we're looking for that. And then lastly, we've got Orka. Slapping down 16 power on the last turn from a single card is no joke. So that's the ongoing shutdown deck that we're looking at today. Let's get into those card replacements and turn-by-turn guide. So to jump into the details of this ongoing shutdown list, it's a pretty budget-friendly deck. It has only 2 Series 3 cards in Electro and Orka, has Mobius as the only Series 4 card, and it does have 2 Series 5 cards in Jeff and Iron Lad. Most people have those that have a bunch of Series 5 because they're pretty strong, but if you don't, that's okay. We've got some possible replacements, but all of the other cards are pretty beginner-friendly. Now, for possible card replacements, I'd say all of these Series 3 Plus cards are replaceable. I would not recommend trying to replace Electro. You're just not going to be able to ramp up enough, but we do have some good replacements in the form of Ant-Man, great ongoing. Zabu can help you with Iron Lad and Jubilee, also ongoing. Mr. Fantastic is an ongoing. Wave is also good for ramping up. I don't use her because you really don't have too much In terms of a 6-drop you want to get down early besides Orka, and Mobius does counter her. He's pretty prevalent right now. And then Onslaught, I would only put in if you're also adding in Ant-Man or Mr. Fantastic, something that really benefits from Onslaught. To look at the main win conditions for this deck, at a core, it's Electro turn 3 into Sandman or Professor X on turn 4. That's either going to shut down your opponent's whole game plan in the form of Sandman, or it's going to shut down a lane with Professor X that you're probably going to be able to win. We also do have just ways to power up multiple lanes at the same time, even if we can only play one card a turn in the form of cards like Klaw and Spectrum, or we can even have Iron Ladder Jubilee, pull one of these cards out, get that power on turn 4. To talk about some favorable and unfavorable matchups and locations, we are of course going to do fairly well against decks with Elsa or decks with Sera, something that your opponent is trying to just play a bunch of cards. If we get out Sandman, or if we can limit the board space, they're going to really have trouble with us. In terms of something we don't like seeing, Enchantress is not great for any deck that has a bunch of ongoing cards. And then if your opponent is playing a big list, like an Electro list themselves, they're probably playing something that spits out bigger power, like the Doom Odin or Black Panther Zola combo Electro. So we might have trouble dealing with their power if we can't lock them out with Professor X and win an additional lane. For locations, we love seeing Onslaught Citadel. It is great for Iron Man and Klaw still, and something like the Superflow will just help us ramp up a little bit earlier. For locations we don't like seeing, something that disables ongoing effects like Hour of Silence is really hard for us, and then locations that favor small cards such as the Big House we're really going to have trouble with because this deck is on the heavier side of the cost. We really don't have many cheap cards to throw into a location like that. So now it's time for my favorite part of the video, which is the turn-by-turn breakdown. Turn 1, we don't have to worry about because we don't have any 1-cost cards in this deck. When turn 2 comes around, we are hoping to maybe play Mobius. He's going to be really good. We do have Jeff in this deck as well, although Jeff is often best saved for later in the game because you can play him as a second card even if you do have Electro or Sandman down. So assuming we got Mobius, the ideal turn 3 is always going to be Electro. I mean, Electro is really what we want to start ramping up. Once turn 4 comes along, I'd call this the critical turn because you need to start adding power or locking down lanes or shutting down your opponent's game plan on turn 4. Okay, the first 3 turns, we're just setting up, but we only have 2 cards on the board at most, so turn 4, you need to do something big. Ideally, Sandman if you're against a board-filled deck. Also, Professor X if you just want to lock down a lane. You don't even need Daredevil, we can add more power there later. And you can also just add power to the board with a card like Klaw. Now, assuming we got Sandman down, we're now limiting both our opponents and ourselves to only being able to play 1 card per turn. So come around to turn 5. Orka might just be big power on the board, really hard for our opponent to deal with at this point. They might just surrender right here. We've still got other options, of course, such as Klaw or Iron Man. Really just start adding power to our board. So looking at a situation where we did end up with Orka, come around to turn 6. Again, we're just looking to play big stuff that adds power. Spectrum could be good to add power to all 3 locations at once, while our opponent is only able to play 1 card themselves, presumably just in a single lane. And you've also just got other options like Iron Man plus Jeff, because we will have 7 energy and Jeff can squeeze in as a second card. So you've just got options to play whatever makes the most sense in your current game scenario. But if we did stick with Spectrum, this would be our end of game state. Got good power across the board, limited our opponents, and that Orka on the right is just absolutely disgusting, who will be at 18 power in this scenario. So that's enough talking. Let's get into some gameplay clips. Alright, Formir is kind of bad for us. We don't have anything to just kind of die there. We can play Electro there, but that's not amazing. But Professor X could be good if we draw him, which we did. And our opponent has not played on Vormir yet, so we'll have to see what they do. Monster in the middle could be good for Iron Man. And we've even got stuff on the right here. Okay. So maybe I'm going to try and cheese my opponent. And just throw Electro right. I could do Professor X right, or I could go for Sign on the left, although they also have Jeff to move in. So we'll see what they do here. And they did, in fact, feed a card to Vormir. Okay, it is a Shuri deck. And actually, Professor X on the left, if they play Shuri left, Professor X could be very good. We got our own Elsa. Okay. So I think Professor X right or left both work. I'm just going to go ahead and throw him down on the left because I'm expecting a Shuri. And I can add Jeff there the last turn alongside Iron Man or Jubilee or something. Okay, we locked it down. Perfect. We read them like a book. They will move their Jeff over, but we have our own, and they should not be able to add any other power there. So now we have to think about what else we want. We don't have great picks with Jubilee or Iron Lad, but I'm thinking next turn Iron Man middle plus Jeff left is the way to go. I'm going to do Lad in the middle, and I'm going to save Jeff. Just to kind of keep my opponent surprised. Okay, we did get Mobius, that's fine. If our opponent plays red or a Taskmaster middle, that's plus 14. They lose Jeff. So they're actually only at 23, and we easily beat that. Okay, so I think we're looking good here. Oh, they played a lot of cards. What are all those cards? How'd they get so many? Not what I was expecting from a Shuri list, but it's because they had Sauron, and it did not matter. So nice 8-cuber to start off the game. We will take it. My goodness. Thank you, Professor X. Okay, and they left. That's fair. All right, we do have Electro in hand, and we even got a good start. Our opponent snapped. We'll snap back. Sure, why not? We're going to turn 2 Electro, turn 3 Sandman. So we don't know what their deck is yet. Hopefully they're playing some cheap cards, and we can ruin their day. We almost may not want to play Sandman because we have a bunch of cheap stuff. So there's always that thought there. But our opponent is playing a Thanos deck. So we're going to take full advantage of that. And they skipped the next turn. Okay, so they likely do have other cards, other stones to play, and they're holding on to them, which I believe will be a mistake once I play Professor X. Or Sandman, I mean. But then I'm going to play Professor X. So, are they a destroy? No, they've got Wolfsbane. Interesting. So they're in fact a board fill deck. And they are not going to be filling any board. Not today. So at least 4 cubes here. They might just let it play out all the way though, and we'll take 8. We'll have to see. I think they might get countered pretty hard. Okay. So Orka in the middle is going to be like devastating. I think we do Klaw first. See how things look. This is our final hand. We're drawing Chavez next turn, so this is the hand we have to work with. We're not going to get Jeff to be able to play him. And they went middle again. Okay, that's interesting. So now I have the decision to play something left or middle. I'm going to stick with my plan of going middle. Jubilee middle is not bad either. Getting Iron Man or Iron Lad to get Iron Man. I mean, very good possibility of Iron Man. But I think my opponent's going to play on the left. I do. Okay, there we go. So we took a big 8-cuber. We definitely have enough there. And that's how it's done. Ramp up. Thanks, Elysium, helped us out. And shut our opponent's plans down with Sandman. Love to see it. Okay, let's see what we're up against here. We do have Electro to start, which is what we like to see. And we even have our little baby boy Jeff. So, pretty good hand. Obviously, we want some 5-drops for turn 4 after we play Electro. And I'm going to go ahead and play Jeff over Mobius. Although, actually, I'm going to switch that around. I think that could be a mistake because we can play Jeff on the very last turn alongside a 5-drop, even though we get Electro down. So I think it's maybe better to save Jeff for last. Okay, we're going to turn something into the Hulk. Our opponent might just lay down Brood, and they did not, actually. Okay. So maybe we even it out on the right. They did not want their Brood to all get killed by Shang-Chi. Fair enough. Okay, we do have Sandman, so I like that. Do I like it enough to snap? Maybe, because I can get Klaw in the middle, which looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to aim to win the middle and the right. My opponent has Absorbing Man. It's a little bad. But I still think I'm going to snap. I still think it's the correct move. I'm getting rocks in my deck here, but that's okay. Absorbing Man is not the most fun, but it's not the worst. Okay, it's just Mr. Sinister, so I think we're actually against the Patriot list. And so, luckily, they did not have Absorbing Man. So I probably want to do Klaw, and then last turn I can do something plus Jeff. And I'll just choose where to put Jeff. Okay, what'd they go for? They went for Patriot. That's fine. We're ahead on the board. We have to expect an Ultron, who himself will be 8 power. His little Ultron bots, little drones, will be 3 wherever they go. We're gonna go for it. Let's see what they drop. Okay, they dropped him in that lane, which is still bad for me. Still do not have enough power. Oh, it was Goliath. Okay. Okay. Goliath is just everywhere. Happens. Alright, what do we have here? Limbo. I don't know if that's better for me or my opponent. I have to assume it's better for me, but I do need to draw Electro or something. I do have Iron Lad and Jubilee though, so by turn 4 I can start ramping up, hopefully, even if I don't get Electro here. But I do need them to pull something good, and I have most of the good things in my hand. What do we got there? Forge again? No, Patriot. Okay, so they kind of didn't have a great draw. They only got Forge down. I've basically drawn almost all my big stuff. So that's a little unfortunate. But Iron Lad will still be decent. Pulling Jeff isn't too bad. Okay, he got Mobius. Okay, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. We do have Professor X. I think we just slap down Professor X. I think we snap. I'm feeling good here. I'm feeling good here. Going to Limbo. My opponent can only get rid of Limbo if they have Legion, because they've already filled that location. Okay, I'm feeling really good here. They can't play any cards, actually. So we took it. Just throw out that Professor X to take the win, and you love to see it. They might have Jeff, so we'll actually play like one card. Okay, they surrendered as they should. Alright, Central Park is maybe bad for my opponent. They do fill locations very easily, as we saw from when they filled everything with Brood and Absorbing Man. So let's see, did they get Forge? They've gotten Forge turn 2 a lot. Wow. We are filling these locations here. Okay. Hopefully we can give them this rock. If they play Brood, we get the rock. But we can always move Jeff. Okay, and they filled the location. So we're going to lock things down with Professor X again. That seems like pretty good to me. So we will do Professor X on the left. Because they have a lot of power, they can actually add to the right. There we go. Okay. So we are easily winning the left. Our problem is going to be winning the middle. We do really need Spectrum, I think. 11 here puts me at 17. Plus 4 is not enough. Okay, I'm gonna bring Jeff back. Don't move him yet. We'll do this. Oh. Okay, so my opponent just lost only if I get Klaw. If I go for Klaw with Iron Lad, I get the win here. I have a 1 in 3. Getting Spectrum, I think I lose a tiebreaker. So 1 in 3, definite win though. Let's see what we get. Let's see, do we get the Klaw? No, it was Mobius. That hurts. It actually ended so fast. Wow, the game did us dirty. Wasted no time. GG's. Okay, we have Jeff and Spectrum for finisher, but obviously we want that Electro. Or Professor X could be good on Warrior Falls. Onslaught Citadel, we are very happy. I'm not going to snap right away. I'm going to wait a bit. I don't want to make it too obvious that we're very happy with that. Okay, and they have Angela. I really, really want Electro into Sandman. But if not, it might be okay. We're going to wait. I mean, even Klaw Iron Man just kind of wins. So, if Jubilee just gets something decent, I'm very happy. I'm actually going to snap first. If Jubilee gets Professor X, it's pretty good. Or Iron Lad into Professor X. I think we're looking pretty good. So about 2 in 4 chance. Maybe a bit worse. But I think Jubilee can get some good stuff. Hopefully save us from missing Electro. Okay, she did. So this doesn't look amazing because they have a bishop that can power up, but we can move Jeff over. And our opponent does not know we're rocking an Iron Man. So we could even save the Klaw. Let's do that. Let's save Klaw. They're just like filling up this board. Getting these Elsa bonuses now. And let's see what they put out on the left. Okay, and I don't really think there's any chance that they're winning the middle with my Iron Man there. It's possible. But I think I'm adding 6 to the right. They would need to play... They can only play 4 cards. I'm going to be at 10 on the right. They can only get their bishop to 9, I believe, unless they're playing Jeff. So I think this is enough. Okay. I think we have enough. I think we win the right by 1 point. And we're very happy. Yeah, they stuck around even after seeing Iron Man middle. And we are showing them why we did that. And that's how it's done. We will take that fat dub. My goodness, 8 cuber. Love to see it. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think of this deck in the comments down below if you were able to give it a try. And on a side note, side announcement, I'm happy to say that I'm now a member of the Marvel Snap Creator Program, which if you don't know what that is, I'll leave a link in the description for this video so you can go check it out, read the details. But in short, it means there's more big things to come from me and this channel. So thank you everyone for all of your support and continued support. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you next time.